I am sitting in a small examination room right now, holding Arya's hand, watching the ultrasound screen as our baby's heartbeat fills the silence. This tiny flutter of life represents everything I fought for over the past 4 years. My mom and sister spent years trying to push me back into my ex's arms. They believed she was the only woman meant for me, but they were wrong. And now I am here expecting a child with the woman they once looked down on. Before we dive into this story, let me know where you are watching from today. Drop a comment below and hit that like button and subscribe if you have not already. Stick around because this story has more twists than I ever expected my own life to have. My name is Marcus. I am 32 years old, and I work as a software engineer at a technology company in Seattle. But to understand how I got here, I need to take you back to where it all began. I grew up in a middle-class family in the suburbs of Portland, Oregon. Our house was nothing fancy, just a 3-bedroom home with a small backyard where my dad used to grill burgers every Sunday. My childhood was typical in most ways, filled with school sports and family dinners around a crowded table. My mom, Linda, is 60 years old now. She has always been a traditional woman, the kind who believes children should follow their parents' advice when it comes to marriage. She grew up in a time when families had more say in who their kids ended up with, and she never quite let go of that mindset. Everything she does comes from a place of love, or at least that is what she tells herself. But sometimes, love can become control without anyone noticing. My older sister Megan is 35. She got married young, has 2 kids, and has always been mom's right hand in everything. Whatever mom says, Megan supports. Whatever mom believes, Megan echoes. The two of them are like a unit, and growing up, I often felt like the odd one out whenever I had a different opinion. My dad passed away when I was 23. A heart attack took him suddenly one autumn morning, and our family was never quite the same after that. He was the one who balanced things out, who told Mom to let me make my own choices, who reminded her that I was my own person. When he died, that voice of reason disappeared. Mom and Megan became the 2 most influential people in my life, and their opinions carried weight I could not easily shake off. I always tried to make them happy. I went to the college they approved of, took the job they thought was respectable, and dated the girl they adored. That girl was Brooke. I met Brooke during my sophomore year at the University of Oregon. I was 20 years old, still figuring out who I was, and she walked into my life like a whirlwind. She was beautiful in that effortless way that made people turn their heads. Long blonde hair, bright smile, and a laugh that could fill any room. She came from a wealthy family. Her parents owned a chain of car dealerships across the Pacific Northwest, and they had been friends with my mom since high school. When Mom found out I was dating Brooke, she was over the moon. She talked about wedding colors before we had even been together 6 months. She imagined grandchildren with Brooke's eyes and my smile. She saw our future as clearly as if it had already happened, and for a while I thought I saw it too. Megan loved Brooke as well. They would go shopping together, get their nails done, share inside jokes that I was never part of. Brooke became like a third daughter to my mom, and Megan treated her like the little sister she never had. Our 2 families merged in ways that felt permanent, like roots growing into the same soil. Brooke and I dated for 5 years from the time I was 20 until I turned 25. In the beginning, everything felt right. We traveled together, made plans, talked about the future. But somewhere along the way, cracks started to form. Brooke had expensive taste. She wanted vacations in Europe, a house in the nicest part of town, a lifestyle that required more money than I was making as a junior engineer fresh out of college. She started comparing me to her friends' boyfriends. Jessica's boyfriend just got promoted to senior manager, she would say. Tyler bought his girlfriend a new car for her birthday. The comments were subtle at first, but they added up. I started feeling like I was never enough, like no matter how hard I worked, I would always fall short of her expectations. I tried talking to her about it. I told her I needed time to build my career, that we could have those things eventually if we were patient. But patience was not something Brooke had much of. She wanted everything now, and she wanted me to be the one who provided it. The end came when I was 25. It was a Thursday evening, and Brooke had gone to take a shower after dinner. She left her phone on the coffee table, and it buzzed with a notification. I would not normally look at her messages, but something made me glance at the screen. The preview showed a text from someone named Derek, and the words made my stomach drop. "I cannot wait to see you tomorrow. Wear that red dress I love." I picked up the phone. My hands were shaking as I scrolled through the conversation. 3 months. For 3 months, Brooke had been seeing Derek behind my back. He was a real estate developer, someone she met at a networking event. The messages made it clear she was considering leaving me for him because, as she put it, he has more potential. When she came out of the shower, I was sitting on the couch with her phone in my hand. Her face went pale when she realized what I had seen. But what shocked me most was her reaction. She did not apologize. She did not cry. She just shrugged and said, "Everyone has the right to look for what is best for them." I moved out that night. I packed whatever I could fit in my car and drove to a friend's apartment. The relationship I had spent 5 years building was gone in an instant. Everything my mom had dreamed of, everything Megan had supported, crumbled like a house of cards. But I did not tell them the truth. When Mom called asking what happened, I just said we were not compatible anymore. I could not bring myself to expose Brooke, partly because I was still processing the betrayal myself, and partly because I knew they would not believe me. They loved Brooke. They would find a way to blame me. The months after the breakup were difficult. I threw myself into work trying to bury the pain under deadlines and projects. I moved to Seattle for a new job opportunity, hoping the distance would give me a fresh start. But no matter how far I ran, my mom and sister kept pulling me back. Mom was devastated when I told her about the breakup. She called me every other day asking if I had reconsidered, if I had talked to Brooke, if there was any chance of fixing things. She refused to accept that the relationship was over. "You two were perfect together," she would say. "Every couple has problems. You just need to work through them." I tried explaining that it was more complicated than that, but she would not listen. To her, Brooke was the ideal daughter-in-law, and nothing I said could change that image. Megan was worse. She called me one evening, her voice sharp with frustration. "What are you doing? Marcus Brooke is the best thing that ever happened to you. Do not be stupid and throw that away." I wanted to scream at her to tell her what Brooke had done, but the words stuck in my throat. I knew they would twist it, somehow find a way to make it my fault. So I stayed silent and let them believe whatever they wanted. Brooke, meanwhile, played her part perfectly. She stayed in touch with Mom and Megan, telling them how heartbroken she was, how much she missed me, how she would do anything to get me back. She painted herself as the victim, the devoted girlfriend abandoned by a cold and distant boyfriend. And they bought every word. Every holiday became a battle. Thanksgiving at Mom's house, Brooke was there smiling at me from across the table like nothing had happened. Christmas dinner, Mom seated her right next to me, ignoring my protests. She even tried to arrange accidental meetings, inviting me to lunch at a restaurant where Brooke would magically show up. I started avoiding family gatherings altogether. If I knew Brooke would be there, I made excuses. A work emergency, a friend's birthday, anything to escape the suffocating pressure. But my absence only made things worse. Mom called me selfish. Megan said I was tearing the family apart. They could not understand why I refused to forgive Brooke and move on. For 2 years, this was my life. Dodging calls, skipping holidays, feeling guilty for choices I knew were right. I started to wonder if maybe they were correct. Maybe I was being too stubborn. Maybe I should just give in and make everyone happy. But then I met Aria. It happened on a rainy Saturday afternoon in Seattle. I was at a small coffee shop near my apartment, the kind of place with mismatched furniture, and local art on the walls. I was tired from a long week at work, just looking for a quiet corner to read and decompress. That is when I saw her. She was sitting by the window, completely absorbed in a book about astronomy. Her dark hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and she wore a cozy sweater that looked like it had been through many winters. No makeup, no designer clothes, just a woman lost in the wonders of the universe. I was walking to my table when it happened. My foot caught on the leg of a chair and my coffee went flying. Right onto her table, right onto her book. I stood there frozen, watching the brown liquid spread across the pages. "Oh my God, I am so sorry," I stammered, grabbing napkins and dabbing frantically at the mess. "I will buy you a new one. I will buy you 10 new ones." She looked up at me, and instead of anger, I saw amusement. "It is okay," she said, laughing softly. The universe was getting a bit too serious anyway. Maybe it needed some coffee. That laugh. Something about it cut through all the noise in my head. We ended up talking for 3 hours that afternoon. Her name was Aria, and she was a pediatric nurse at Seattle Children's Hospital. She told me about her patients, about the kids who fought battles most adults could not imagine, about the small victories that made her job worthwhile. Aria grew up in Tacoma. Her dad was an electrician, her mom, an elementary school teacher. They did not have much money, but they had love, and that was enough. She did not care about fancy restaurants or expensive gifts. She found joy in stargazing and weekend hikes and cooking dinner together and watching old movies. With Aria, I did not have to prove anything. I did not have to be richer, more successful, more impressive. I could just be Marcus, the guy who spilled coffee and made bad jokes and sometimes struggled to express his feelings. And she liked that version of me. We exchanged numbers that day, and within a week, we were texting constantly. Within a month, we were officially dating. And for the first time in years, I felt genuinely happy. I knew I could not hide Aria forever. After 6 months of dating, I decided it was time to introduce her to my family. Mom's birthday was coming up, and I thought it might be a good opportunity. A celebration, a fresh start. I should have known better. We drove to Portland on a Friday evening. Aria was nervous, fidgeting with her bracelet the whole way. I kept reassuring her that everything would be fine, that my family would love her once they got to know her. I wanted to believe it myself. Mom opened the door, and I saw her expression change the moment she laid eyes on Aria. It was subtle, just a slight tightening around her mouth, a coolness that crept into her eyes. But I noticed. "Mom, this is Aria," I said, keeping my voice upbeat. "Aria, this is my mom, Linda." "Nice to meet you, Mrs. Thompson," Aria said, warmly extending her hand. Mom shook it briefly, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. "Welcome." Dinner was uncomfortable. Mom peppered Aria with questions that felt more like an interrogation. What did she do for work? How much did she earn? Where did her family come from? Each answer seemed to disappoint her more. "A nurse," Mom repeated when Aria mentioned her job. "That must be difficult work." "It is," Aria agreed. "But I love it. The kids are incredible." Mom nodded but said nothing more. I could see the judgment forming in her mind. Aria was not from a wealthy family. She did not have a prestigious career. She was not Brooke. After dinner, Megan pulled me aside in the hallway. Her arms were crossed, her face tight with disapproval. "What are you doing, Marcus?" she whispered harshly. "She is not right for you. Brooke is still waiting, you know. She asks about you all the time." "I do not care about Brooke," I said firmly. "Aria is who I want to be with." Megan shook her head. "You are making a mistake." The drive back to Seattle was quiet. About an hour and Aria started crying, silent tears that she tried to hide by turning toward the window. I understand, she said softly. If you want to break up because your family does not approve, I will not blame you. I pulled over to the side of the road. I turned to face her, taking her hands in mine. Arya, look at me. I waited until her eyes met mine. I do not care what they think. You are the best thing that has ever happened to me, and I am not letting you go. Ever. She cried harder then, but I think they were different tears, and I meant every word I said. What I did not know was that the battle had only just begun. After that visit, Mom and Megan launched what I can only describe as a campaign to destroy my relationship with Arya. It started with phone calls. Every week, Mom would call and somehow steer the conversation toward Brooke. Remember that time you and Brooke went to Hawaii? She would say. You were so happy then. That girl really loved you. I would change the subject, but she always found a way back. Megan started sending me old photos, pictures of Brooke and me at college, at family dinners, at holidays. She would attach messages like, "You two looked so perfect together," or, "She still talks about you." Then they created a family group chat. Mom, Megan, her husband, and Brooke. Everyone except me. I only found out because Megan accidentally sent a message to my private chat that was clearly meant for the group. They were discussing plans to get Brooke and me back together. Brooke herself became bolder. She texted me out of nowhere, apologizing for any misunderstandings and saying she had changed. She claimed she realized what she had lost and wanted another chance. One day, she showed up at my favorite coffee shop in Seattle, the same one where I had met Arya. She was sitting at a table dressed impeccably, as if she had been waiting for me. "What are you doing here?" I asked coldly. "I missed you," she said, reaching for my hand. "Can we talk?" I pulled away. "There is nothing to talk about, Brooke. We are done. We have been done for years." But the worst was yet to come. A few weeks later, Arya came home from work looking pale. She said she needed to tell me something, but was scared of how I would react. "Your mom called me," she said quietly, "at the hospital. She told me I was not suitable for your family and that I should leave you for your own good." I felt rage like I had never experienced before. My own mother had gone behind my back to attack the woman I loved. "Why did you not tell me sooner?" I asked. "Because I did not want to hurt you," Arya said. "I know how much your family means to you." I held her tight that night, making silent promises to protect her from whatever came next. The true breaking point came on Christmas when I was 29 years old. Arya and I had been together for 2 years at that point, and I decided we needed to face my family directly. Running away was not working. They needed to see that I was serious. We arrived at Mom's house in Portland on Christmas Eve. The moment we walked through the door, I knew something was wrong. There, sitting in the living room like she belonged there, was Brooke. She was wearing a stunning red dress, her hair perfectly styled, smiling at me like we were still together. "Marcus!" she exclaimed, standing up to hug me. I stepped back, keeping Arya close to my side. "What is she doing here?" I asked Mom. "Brooke is family," Mom said simply. "She has always been part of our Christmas." Dinner was a nightmare. Mom had arranged the seating so that Brooke was right next to me, while Arya was pushed to the far end of the table near the kitchen. Throughout the meal, Mom and Megan only talked to Brooke. They reminisced about old times, laughed at inside jokes, completely ignoring Arya's existence. Brooke played along enthusiastically. "Remember our trip to Cannon Beach, Marcus? That was such a wonderful weekend." She touched my arm as she spoke, and I had to resist the urge to pull away violently. I looked at Arya. She sat silently, her food barely touched her eyes, red but refusing to let the tears fall. In that moment, I saw everything clearly. The woman I loved was being humiliated in front of me, and my own family was responsible. Near the end of dinner, Mom stood up and clinked her glass. Everyone fell silent. "I only have one wish this Christmas," she announced, looking directly at me. "I want to see my son back with the woman who truly loves him. Brooke has waited so patiently, and I believe they belong together." Something inside me snapped. I stood up so fast, my chair scraped loudly against the floor. I took Arya's hand and pulled her to stand beside me. "You want to know why Brooke and I broke up?" I said, my voice steady, but filled with anger. "Because she cheated on me. For 3 months, she was seeing another man behind my back. She did not even apologize when I found out. She said everyone deserves to look for something better." The room went dead silent. Mom's face drained of color. Megan's mouth fell open. Brooke's perfect composure cracked her expression, twisting into something ugly. "That is not true," Brooke stammered. "He is lying." "I saw the messages, Brooke. I saw everything." I turned to my mom. "This is the woman you have been pushing me toward for 4 years. This is who you chose over Arya, who has never been anything but kind and genuine." I did not wait for a response. I grabbed our coats and walked out, Arya's hand still in mine. We drove back to Seattle that night, leaving behind the chaos and accusations. After that Christmas, I made a decision. I would not cut my family off completely, but I needed distance. I sent Mom and Megan a long message explaining everything. I told them about Brooke's infidelity, about how their constant pressure had damaged our relationship, about how they had treated Arya. I asked them to respect my choices or accept that I would not be part of their lives. Mom responded with anger at first. She accused Arya of manipulating me, of turning me against my family. Megan sent similar messages. I did not argue. I simply stopped responding and focused on building my life with Arya. We moved into a new apartment together, a cozy 2-bedroom place with a small balcony where we could watch the stars. We visited Arya's family in Tacoma often. Her parents welcomed me with open arms, treating me like a son from the very first meeting. Her dad taught me how to fix a leaky faucet. Her mom made me her famous apple pie. For the first time, I understood what family could really feel like. 1 year later, I turned 30. Arya and I had built something beautiful together, and I knew I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her. I planned the proposal carefully. I took her to the observatory where we had one of our first dates. We had spent that evening looking through telescopes, making up names for stars, talking about our dreams. It seemed like the perfect place. When we reached the top of the observation deck, the city lights spread out below us like a second sky. I got down on one knee and pulled out the ring. "Arya, you changed my life. You showed me what real love looks like. Will you marry me?" She said yes through tears, and I slipped the ring onto her finger. It was not a huge diamond or an expensive design. It was simple, elegant, and perfect for her. We got married 3 months later in the backyard of Arya's parents' house in Tacoma. White chairs on the grass, string lights in the trees, homemade food prepared by friends and family. It was small and intimate, exactly what we wanted. I sent invitations to Mom and Megan. I did not expect them to come, but I wanted to extend the olive branch. They did not show up. Not a call, not a card, nothing. A year after the wedding, Arya told me she was pregnant. I remember the moment perfectly. She handed me a small box with a positive pregnancy test inside her eyes, sparkling with nervous excitement. I picked her up and spun her around, laughing and crying at the same time. We were going to be parents. After everything we had been through, we were creating a family of our own. I debated whether to tell my mom. Part of me wanted her to know, to give her a chance to be part of her grandchild's life. Another part of me was scared of more rejection. In the end, I called her. She answered on the 3rd ring, her voice cautious. "Mom, I have news," I said. "Arya is pregnant. You are going to be a grandmother." There was silence on the other end. Then I heard something I never expected. She was crying. "I have been so foolish," she said between sobs. "These past 2 years, I have thought about everything. I was wrong, Marcus. I was so wrong about Brooke, about Arya, about all of it. Can you ever forgive me?" Megan called the next day. She told me that Brooke had gotten married to Derek, the man she had cheated on me with. They divorced after only 1 year because he cheated on her with someone else. The irony was not lost on either of us. "I am sorry," Megan said. "I should have trusted you. I should have listened." Arya and I talked about it for a long time. Forgiveness is not easy, especially after years of pain. But holding on to anger was not going to make our lives better. We decided to give them a second chance with clear boundaries. Mom came to Seattle a few weeks later. When she saw Arya, she broke down. She hugged her tightly and apologized for everything she had put her through. She brought a baby blanket she had knitted herself, soft yellow yarn with tiny stars embroidered on the edges. Arya forgave her. "I just want Marcus to be happy," she said, "and I want our child to know their grandmother." The healing process is still ongoing. Trust takes time to rebuild. But we are making progress one conversation at a time. And that brings us back to today. Here I am in this examination room, watching our baby's heartbeat on the monitor. Arya squeezes my hand, and I squeeze back. 4 years ago, I thought my life was falling apart. My family was against me. The woman they wanted me to marry had betrayed me. I felt alone and misunderstood. But from that pain came something beautiful. I found Arya. I found real love, the kind that does not require you to be anyone other than yourself. I learned that family is not just about blood. It is about who stands by you when everything else falls apart. If there is one lesson I want to share, it is this. Do not let anyone else decide who you should love. Your heart knows what it needs. Trust it, even when it is hard, even when everyone around you says you are wrong. Because at the end of the day, you are the one who has to live with your choices. And sometimes, the people who hurt you the most are the ones who eventually understand you the best. But first, you have to teach them how to see you. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to fight for a relationship that your family did not approve of? How did you handle the pressure? Drop your stories in the comments below. I read every single one. If this story touched your heart, please give it a like and share it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you have not subscribed yet, hit that button so you do not miss the next story. Thank you for being here with me today. May you find the courage to follow your heart, and may love always find its way to you. Take care, and I will see you in the next one.